Good day. Today we will be discussing Chapter 4, Moral Reasoning and its Application in Business Ethics. This presentation is prepared by Annabella Frias, Fort Bangalan, Palmos, Zoe Palmos, and Zion Pastrana. Let us first start with Plato and his hypothetical situation. The situation is, if a man finds an amulet that would make him invisible anytime he wished, what course of actions will that man make? What will that man do if nobody can see him? Those set of questions point to the inner motives of our action. What motivates us for being good? Why do I even avoid being bad? Lawrence Kohlberg was a Harvard professor who became famous for his theory in psychology, known as the stages of moral development. He contends that inasmuch as the human person's cognitive aspect is in developmental mode, his moral aspect as a person also follows a progressive pattern. It means that the person's capacity to perceive what is right and wrong develops from one stage to another. In this chapter, we will be discussing the levels and stages. The three levels that we will be discussing are called pre-conventional, conventional, and post-conventional. In every level, there is two stages included. The 6 stages can shed light into the way people think in the workplace, or the way entrepreneurs think about morality as they build their companies. Before proceeding to the discussion, let us first ask, why does Kohlberg use the term conventional in talking about the different levels of moral reasoning?
By convention, he means the accepted and agreed upon norms, rules, and customs of society. A person in pre-conventional level is not yet fully aware of the various ethical standards, laws, and customs agreed upon by the community. In post-conventional, a greater mindset and enough moral reasoning are present. The person is no longer determined and conditioned by social convention.
Level 1 is called pre-conventional morality. This level is when a person is not yet fully aware of the various ethical standards, laws, and customs agreed upon and instituted by the community and the society at large. Kohlberg asserts that a child is operating at this level, since the child is not yet fully conscious of her or his actions, or he or she is not yet fully aware of the consequences of his or her actions. The first stage under level 1 is called punishment and obedience orientation. In this stage, children are driven to act rightly and obey because of fear of punishment. Kohlberg and Hirsch said, the physical consequences of action determine its goodness or badness, regardless of the human meaning or value of these consequences. They understand that something is wrong or bad when it has a corresponding physical punishment. The following are some responses of children operating in the first stage. First is, it is wrong to get somebody's chocolate because my mommy will scold me. Second, it is wrong to hit my playmate because my daddy will get mad at me. Third, it is wrong to say bad words because my parents will punish me. Something is bad because doing it will result to bad consequences for him or her in the form of physical punishment. Even though the punishment orientation is the morality of a child, there are adults who also operate on this level. For example, is a business owner faithfully pays his taxes with the primary reason of fear of being in jail. As Kohlberg would say, there are people who mature physically but not morally. The stage 2 under level 1 is called instrumental relativist orientation. The child is oriented to the value of an act based on the favors and rewards that he can get by performing the said act. Here, the child is oriented based on the favors and rewards a person or a parent would give them. This stage is explained by Kohlberg and Hirsch in the following words. Right action consists of that which is instrumentally satisfy one's own needs and occasionally the needs of others. Human relations are viewed in terms like those of the marketplace. Elements of fairness and of equal sharing are present, but they are always interpreted in a physical, pragmatic way. Reciprocity is a matter of you scratch my back and I'll scratch yours, not of loyalty, gratitude, or justice. This orientation does not only operate on children, even adults may be primarily driven by this instrumentalitist attitude. For example, is a little boy who will lend his toy to his playmate if the latter would also readily lend his toy. Another example is a 7-year-old girl that would help in cleaning her room if her mother promises to buy her a new pair of shoes.
Nagkakagulo sila. Level 2 Conventional Morality. This level is when a person becomes conscious that he or she is living in a society of countless people with countless interests. Kohlberg asserts that adolescents are operating at this level. Level 2, Stage 3. Interpersonal Concordance Orientation or Good Boy, Nice Girl Orientation. In this stage, the person's motive for doing or avoiding an act is very much influenced and driven by what his or her immediate relationships would approve, say, and think about him or her. Conflict arises for the young adolescent because many times there is tension and disagreement between the demands of the immediate family and the pressure and approval of peers, classmates, and friends. Young adolescent becomes conscious of his or her image and identity. He or she becomes more concerned not only about physical appearance but also with overall aura that is projected to his or her circle of relationships. Thus, an adolescent might say, I will not cheat during exams because I would be ashamed if I get caught. Or I will study hard because my father graduated with flying colors in his college. I don't want to taint out our family's name. Applying this in the context of business ethics, an employee might keep silent about unethical conduct that he witnesses in the workplace because he does not want to rock the boat or to be perceived as a sycophant, or walang pakikisama. Level 2, Stage 4, Law and Order. In this stage, the one operating is a person who believes that a good person is the one who abides by the law and respects the authority of the lawgiver. Moral development is manifested when a person is not just concerned about being punished, getting a reward, or being too conscious about the expectation of family and friends. Rather, he or she simply realizes that the law must always be upheld, respected, and obeyed. This is the main characteristic of a person operating on the fourth stage. He or she believes that laws in an organization are needed to ensure orderly, harmonious, and peaceful living. The following are some examples of expressions on this stage. First, I will pay my taxes even though my buddies do not, and even if our government is corrupt, because it is the law. Second, I pity your situation, but it is the policy in our organization.
Let us now proceed to level 3 called post-conventional morality. This level is when the legalist mindset may be a sign of greater maturity and moral reasoning compared with the earlier stages, but a person might still advance in moral development. The person is no longer determined and conditioned by social conventions, such as laws, written codes, and agreed standards. Rather, he or she exercises freedom and becomes more conscious of the foundations of the society's norms, such as social contract and the universal ethical principles of human rights, justice, fairness, equality, human dignity, and common good. In this level, the person is not enslaved by the letters of the law. He or she realizes that there are instances when a person is even called to criticize, violate, and even go against the law. The stage under level 3 is called social contract orientation. In this stage, the adult person reasons out that laws are social contracts, that is, people in the society agreed to promulgate and be done by laws. Not only it ensures order and harmony. More importantly, it is because laws uphold human rights, justice, and common good. In other words, laws exist to serve the basic rights and needs of each and every member of the society. The stage 5 person sometimes sees that some laws must be challenged, changed, and modified if by so doing leads to the welfare of the society. Therefore, it is not surprising for a stage 5 person to be always critical of laws that seem to be oppressive, unjust, and opposed to the promotion of the common good. Laws should not be enslaving, rather, it is the lawmaker, the human person, who is the master of written laws. Human laws are not to be absolutized because many times they do not capture in words the reason for their very existence. Some examples of moral reasoning are: I should not steal not only because I abide with the respective law, but because stealing is a violation of one's basic right to property. Another is: my employees will receive salary higher than what the law requires because they have a basic right to the profit of my company. Even there is no law on profit sharing, and even if my employees are only entitled to what their contract states, I should consider the spirit of the law on wage giving. Commensurate compensation, decent life, justice and fairness, dignity of labor, and dignity of the laborer.
Level 3, Stage 6, Universal Ethical Principles. For Kohlberg, this is the pinnacle of moral reasoning, according to him. Only few people reach this stage. Here, the morally mature person is no longer governed by fear of punishment nor by reward, by social expectations, by societal laws and precepts, or by basic social contracts. The person who operates on this stage is simply propelled by the right thing to do. This right act is neither subjective nor relative because it is anchored on universal ethical principles that are, according to Kohlberg, valid for all people at all times. Therefore, one's conscience is formed and developed based on these universal ethical principles. The morally mature person is no longer governed by fear of punishment or basic social contracts. A person who discloses the illegal and unethical activities of his or her company or organization may endanger not only his or her job security but even his or her own life and that of his or her family. However, he or she courageously carries on blowing the whistle because he or she knows that it is the right thing to do. That it is what his or her conscience is telling him or her, and that he is or she is a completely free and autonomous person, governed only by his or her personally adopted universal ethical standards. A person who operates in this stage is simply propelled by the right thing to do. This right act is neither subjective nor relative because it is anchored on universal ethical principles. An example are the stories of heroes and other people who risk their lives for the sake of truth and justice, attest to the human person's capacity to attain Kohlberg's apex of moral reasoning.
There are also other implications to conduct of business. One of the most important implications of Kohlberg's theory is that it helps people in the business world raise and attempt to answer the questions: what kind or kinds of moral reasoning do people use in business? To raise this question is significant because it helps business leaders assess the moral dispositions of the members of the business organization. Another implication relates to the attitude toward the relationships between law and ethics. Some people from the business world contend that the moral responsibility of a business is to maximize profits. They believe that ethics in business simply means following the law, as long as one is conscious that he or she does not violate any law, then ethics is served. Thus, the legal sense is equated with the ethical sense. Sooner or later, however, it is not only the business institution that would pay for this kind of attitude in morality. The society and the environment are bound to suffer as well.
The third implication is with regard to the recognition that majority of people, including those who are in the business world and the workplace, operate in the conventional level. According to Kohlberg, most of adults operate on stages 3 and 4. Few people reach the third level. In other words, majority of us are not really completely the corporate culture. It is crucial, therefore, that to improve our moral decision making, we operate in an environment where people have high regard for ethical conduct.
Another implication for business and the workplace is the relationship between moral education and organizational training on the other hand, and that it is still possible to influence the moral disposition of young adults. Thus, ethics training and values education in the workplace may become avenues for change and improvement of moral dispositions.
As mentioned in the introductory part of this chapter, Kohlberg's theory has been criticized by many scholars. One of the most famous criticisms came from another psychologist by the name of Carol Gilligan. She argued that Kohlberg's studies are biased toward the male gender. The focus on the interpretation of morality as justice-based and rights-based is for Gilligan the mark of male morality. She said that females are more oriented to the ethics of care, and Kohlberg's theory does not consider this dimension of ethical decision making. The main implication for business ethics is Gilligan's insights is that the analysis of ethical issues in business must not just focus on the application of theories that are rights-based and justice-based. Rather, the ethics of care must also be given due consideration.
Thank you for listening.